Greetings, listeners. We got a big one today. Glam rock legend Michael Monroe, formerly of Hanoi Rocks, is here, and he's got a new solo album out right now that's called I Live Too Fast to Die Young, and it features his all-star band, including Sammy Yaffa, Steve Conte, Rick Jones, and Carl Rockfist. And we're going to discuss the new album, plus all the shows he did with GNR, the pop star who wanted to produce Hanoi Rocks albums, or who they wanted to produce the albums, and also the song that Steve Stevens stole from him. All this and more coming right up. So let's just dive right in. New album. It's exciting. It's called I Live Too Fast to Die Young. I love that title. And then, so the title track is such a catchy sing-along chorus, and you got Slash to play on it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's such a cool guy. I mean, great player, and yeah, I realized that he hasn't played on the past 4 albums before, and I thought it would be cool to have him play on that song. And I sent it to him pretty close to the finishing of the recording session, and we were already at mixing, and I thought, close to mixing, and I said, would you like to play solo on this track? It's going to be the title track of my new album. And just, he was really busy doing promotion and stuff. He had his own album coming out, so he said, when did he need it by? And I was like, well, like now. But if he's too busy, I understand, of course. So within 2 days, we had the solo. I was like, thank you, God bless you, and a great solo it is too.
Yeah, and it's like you can always tell when it sounds like a Slash solo. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, signature sound. He has totally. It can't be anybody else. You can tell right away that it's him, and it's great because it's so off the cuff. It's not like every note in place. It's just like it lives, and it's like human touch. So
yeah, he just like has that feel. It's like the soul. I don't know. I think that's what makes him so great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So then the other song there's so many good songs. Can't Stop Falling Apart. Tell me about that one, because it's got a really catchy sing along. It almost sounds like a happy song, but if you listen to the lyrics, it's kind of dark. It's like, can't stop falling apart. We all end up as dust. I mean, that's kind of like dark lyrics.
Well, that's one. Well, that line is dark, but it's pretty much about. It's an ode to our wives and our loved ones who kind of stuck by our sides through the years of playing music and touring and being away for a long time, and but musically it sounds like, to me, it sounds like reminds me of like Top of the Pops, or that glam stomper kind of thing. So it's a different type of song for this band, also different from anything we've done before. Like many of the songs are new styles, but we all thought that was a cool one to have on the record. It's so catchy, yeah. So it's I don't think it's that dark, but yeah, Can't Stop Falling Apart.
Yeah, maybe it's just that line. You're right. What about the song Pagan Prayer? Now, the opening to that, tell me if you noticed this. I don't know if this was on purpose or just coincidental, but it kind of sounds like that song Got the Time by Joe Jackson that Anthrax covered. The bass part, I was like, when I listened, I thought I was listening to that song at first, and I was like, and then it goes into a totally different sound. But
what is that? Anthrax, and what was that song? Joe Jackson?
Yeah, it's a Joe Jackson song, Got the Time.
Oh, I never heard that. But Steve Conte, that's the only song written by Steve Conte that's on this album. Steve wrote that song. But I'm curious to hear that Joe Jackson.
Yeah. Listen to that intro. It's just the intro part's the bass line, and it's close. I mean, sometimes that stuff just happens.
It's called Got the Time. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Check it out. And Anthrax have covered it too.
Yeah, maybe, and that's what I don't know. The Joe Jackson version might sound different, but it sounded like the Anthrax cover at first, and I was like, I had to do a double take, and I was like, wait, is it? And then it totally went into a totally different sound. So then I was like, okay, that makes sense. But
I don't know. I don't think Steve has listened to Anthrax that much, but probably a coincidence. But
no, I know that there's only so many notes, right? Some of these things where people say you stole our song, and you're like, you listen and you're going, I don't think that. I mean, that doesn't sound anything like the original. So there's a lot of weird coincidences like that, I think.
Yeah, and when somebody was telling me, some interviewer in Germany was saying that the Murder the Summer of Love, that middle section, as that the middle section with the guitar part, he says it reminds him of Bryan Adams' Summer of '69, and I was like, really? And then I kind of know what it means, but I mean, it's not the same melody at all. But then again, if it was, that's a cool connotation. I mean, it's a cool connection because it's about 1969. It's the lyrics. So that's only cool if that's like a subliminal, subconscious thing or whatever. But
Yeah.
but I can't. I mean, I know what he's saying, but I don't really. But
Right. Well, then that one,
people hear things in different ways. The selective hearing.
So that song is about getting off your ass and living life to the fullest. That's a great advice for people.
That's right. This moment determines your future, your past, and the present. So make the best out of it.
Yeah. What about the song Antisocialite? I love the piano on that. It's kind of like, would you say it's like a ballad? But I love the lyric, "Stop the universe, we're headed nowhere." What inspired that?
That's one of my favorite lyrics. And we were talking about how to do it because there's a danger of a song like that becoming too like a corny power ballad. We didn't want to go for that. And Rich was wondering whether we should do it at all. And I said, no, I love the lyric. It's definitely, we want to do that. We used like John Lennon's Imagine was like the blueprint for the how we're going to, do the production and the arrangement. Keep it simple and small and very intimate kind of, and not be this big drums or anything like that. And keep it very, very personal. And I had actually, we got it to work and we kept it simple and there's hardly any drum fills. Whenever Rich does a fill, it's also it's shuffle. It's like it's really cool. And I had sung that was one of the most demanding songs to me. So I did the vocal. That was the first vocal I did. And I had done a piano, like a demo piano myself, but we knew we were going to have this guy, Lenny Kalataipale, who was a Finnish, fantastic piano player, incredibly talented. I knew I was going to have him do the piano. So after he did the piano over, and I had my first vocal there. I had a gig one night in a couple of hours from Helsinki, and we were staying in Helsinki in the studio. So I got back and I went on pretty late. So I only slept 2.5 hours the night before. And in the morning, I got to the studio. I said, I want to try the vocal again because I know I can do it better. And Rich and Erno, the engineer, were like, oh, it's great. The vocal's great. What you have there is already great. And I said, yeah, I know, but I know I can do it better. Let me just give it a shot. And with that tired voice, it was just perfect for that song. So I did one take and I was like, oh, that's great, man. So I re-sang the whole song in that moment with that tired voice, and that's the vocal that's on the record, and it's one of my favorite vocals on the record actually. Turned out really good. It was just perfectly not too raspy, but it felt right for that song. So
interesting. That's a cool strategy. So you kind of make your voice a little tired to fit the song. I like that.
Yeah, what it just turned out that way. I didn't plan it, and you can't plan on that. It's kind of like it just happened that way. And sometimes sleep deprivation works for the best.
Right. So the song "Everybody's Nobody," that's another cool one. And that one is kind of about a lot of these bands that they're like, might be big locally, but maybe they never made it. But is there and you don't want to say which bands these are specifically?
I don't mention any names, but and then they say we never really wanted to be big, we're too cool to be big, and they kind of stuck on a certain time period. But I'm not. It's a little bit sad too, and that song I sang it at first a bit sarcastically, and I realized that that's not the right approach because it's also a little sad. So I re-sang it not with such a snide attitude. It was better that way. And yeah, it was it came out from it was an email between me and Rich that's got us to write the song. I was talking about some band. There was one band that we were supposed to do a double headline with in London. I was wondering, do they really pull a crowd? I mean, I remember them from the 80s, and they were like just these local heroes. And so Rich said, oh, yeah, that'll be good to play with them. So I said, okay. So everyone who's ever been nobody, all the London Liggers and all the Hangers On are going to be there that night. Everyone who's ever been nobody is going to be there that night. Rich, hey, man, that sounds like a song. Yeah, let's write it. So we wrote that song. That was even before the pandemic. We wrote that in 2019 in the summer. And it's like kind of about letting go of the good old days or the good old bad days. lot of artists are in a position to that they seem to be content to bask in a glow of nostalgia instead of moving forward. And then there's references to leaving London and leaving New York and Piccadilly, goodbye Piccadilly and Leicester Square, and so long to the Bowery and Times Square. But yeah, and also a new point of view came to me about that it can also be about your self-esteem, because everybody has at least been nobody. If nothing else, that's an accomplishment in itself in life. So at least if nothing else, everybody's been a nobody. So that's one way to look at it too.
Right, that's true. Yeah, and then the song.
Yeah, and one of my favorite songs on the record. Also, the middle section is unpredictable. I had that middle section. I thought this will be a good, like a solo, musical section. And then Rich had an idea he actually made the unexpected changes when it goes to half a step down for the guitar after the harp thing. And then there's two more surprises in the middle section. I love that because Rich had an idea, because we've been talking about doing like stuff, trying out like the old Alice Cooper records. So really like so unpredictable and so unique and not for the sake of being weird, but to be not to be weird, to be different, but just something very unique and then different. So that middle section was inspired by the old Alice Cooper records to be as it is now. But yeah, go ahead. You were going to say another song?
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I love the variety with all the songs, because you have like ballads, you have like punky, you have catchy, kind of poppy, and but I was going to say, the song Young Drunks and Old Alcoholic, I feel like that's kind of related to that song, kind of about how these young bands were encouraged to party hard. But like eventually, like you say, you got to get your shit together. Because I noticed that when I interview a lot of these bands, it's like a lot of the same story where, oh yeah, we partied too hard, and now they go the other way. They're like dead sober.
Right. Yeah, that's boring too.
So you want to be somewhere in the middle? Is that the ideal then?
Do your own thing and do your own thing. And it's, but if you're going to start, base it on getting out of it and partying and all that superficial stuff. And a lot of people think that's what rock and roll is about. Yeah, dude, we're so out of it. And it's ridiculous. And then it catches up with you. And then you end up, a hopeless junkie or alcoholic and all by yourself. And, but nowadays no one wants to put up with that anymore. And that's why, you better there's too much competition, I think, also. So people are keeping their shit together. And of course, it's better that way than getting out of it all the time. And but then if it's like one extreme to the other, it's like, oh, well, so, everything that's predictable gets boring after a while. But, different strokes for different folks. People can, as long as everybody has their own thing. And musically, I think bands had more personality before, like in the 60s, 70s, even in the early 80s, because music was made for music's sake and not for because the business, there was no categories. There were like no genres like heavy metal or grunge or whatever, and the music, the industry, of course, loves to put labels on things so they can market this is the latest, the newest thing, grunge or heavy metal or whatever. But I think their genres are unnecessary. I think in the past, nobody thought about that. We didn't think how we're going to market this. We just thought of, it's going to sound cool. It's going to be a good song, or, so that's why people had more personality. It's not really nostalgia looking back and saying, oh, things were better before. They were, because music was made for the right reasons. And then later on, it became more about the business. And, here comes grunge. I mean, Nirvana, great band. Then there's like 200,000 bands trying to sound like them, thinking that they're going to get successful because they were. And they're not going to sound as good as the original, but they're still going to sound the same. And that's kind of boring. So that's why the industry has the marketing and all that music. That's why I always say the music has no business in the music business, and almost, it's become so much about the business, and you can tell in the music it hasn't gotten much better over the years, right?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you bring up Nirvana, and because obviously your influence on Guns N' Roses, but I didn't know that you're an influence on like Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters and Alice in Chains and all these Seattle bands too. We're really big fans of you guys as well.
I didn't either. Yeah, that was a surprise. And even, I was 2010, me and Rich were, there's this Finnish festival we played, and Slipknot was the headline playing it later that night. And we went to see the show, and I was interested in seeing it, curious. And then the guy with the long nose, he comes up to me. It's like, "Oh, it's your fault. I'm doing this." I was like, what? He looked so dangerous. I thought it was it's like, "Man, it's your fault I'm doing this, man." Because I was into my first album I got was Back to Mr. City, Hanoi Rocks. And then he pulled Corey Taylor. He says, "Hey, look who's here." And they're like, "Oh, wow." They're like really into, they're like fans. So I was like, wow. And the music that they play is so different from Hanoi, which that's always the greatest when you see bands like that. And it turns out you were one of their influences. It's like fantastic because they totally have their own thing. And you could never imagine that based on that music, that it would be, one of the influences would be Hanoi. I was like, wow, that's great.
Well, yeah, and for you too, because you really I thought this was interesting. You guys loved Prince, and you actually asked him to produce the Hanoi Rocks album?
Yeah, I liked the 1999 album. I really loved when it came out, and Purple Rain too was cool. But I mean, 1999 was out, and we were recording Back to Mystery City. We were starting to record it, and so I said, wouldn't it be cool to have Prince produce us and see what happened, what came out of that? That could have been great. So our management, they asked Prince, and Prince's answer was, "I don't produce no white boys."
I love that. It's funny though.
Yeah. So I guess white girls, it was okay then, I guess. Later on.
Yeah. So you just recently did some shows with Guns N' Roses, and I was looking at the set list, and I was like, oh, they had to do Ain't It Fun with Axl, and you guys didn't do that, right?
Oh, no. We had we did our own half an hour set, but we didn't end up jamming with the Guns N' Roses. We didn't have a chance to even see before. I mean, I saw Slash after the second night. I hung out with them. We didn't have a chance to get together even. And the first night was canceled. It wasn't canceled, but the first night, our show, they played. We were on Friday and Saturday. So Friday we were ready to start. 4:30 was our slot, a half an hour slot, and then the doors were closed until like 5:15 for some reason, and we missed our slot. So we only played that one show.
Oh shit! And then Axl canceled some shows. Problems with his voice or something? Is everything okay?
I think that's probably the reason, because maybe they weren't sure that the show was going to be going on, so they didn't want to open the doors until they knew that Guns N' Roses was going to play. I think that might have been. We never got a clear explanation why, but I think that must have been a reason, because then Saturday we played, as planned. We opened for them, and then the next day in Glasgow, I heard that the show was canceled. So I'm glad we got to play the one show anyway, at least. So there was no time to see or plan any guests. So that would have been a cool thing, though. Yeah, any fun.
Yeah, because I've never heard them do that song live, and you're there. They just bring you up on stage like you're already there. That would have been amazing.
Well, hopefully next time, maybe. You never know.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Cool to
with those guys. It would be fantastic.
Yeah, do like you should come on the U.S. tour. That'd be amazing, because I'm in the U.S. over here, so it'd be fun. I know you say that it's too expensive to tour the U.S., but if you're opening for Guns N' Roses, I think they could foot the bill, right?
Yeah, unless you're opening for a big band like that, then it would make sense. So I would that's worth even investing in, because getting the visibility, the exposure, opening for a big band like that would make sense to tour in the States. I'm saying that going on the little clubs, for us to start playing little clubs in America, it will be, you're just losing money and you don't get anywhere. It's like you could do it for 20 years and nobody will notice. Such a big area. So to open for a stadium-sized band, that would be the only way to go if that would happen. So let's hope for that. Hopefully that'll happen someday.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. So you've also got, besides this new album that's out now, you've got a documentary coming out about you called Until the Music Ends?
Yeah, 2023. There'll be a documentary movie about Michael Monroe. Yes, about me, and it's going to be a in-depth look at who and what I am, and not just a listing of my achievements and stuff. It's digging a bit deeper into my personality, and it's from where I came from and where we started with Hanoi and everything. It's going to be a special one. So it's going to be like a movie. It's going to go in movie theaters at first, and kind of the guy who's making it now has got a good vision, really good vision, and I think it'll be more like a movie that will be interesting to anybody who's, even if you're not into me or rock and roll, it'll still be an interesting story, because it's very different. So that's coming out next year. And the
And a biography too?
Yeah, autobiography, the book also. Yeah, that's now it looks like we're finally going to get it translated. So that'll be. I don't know if it's next year. As soon as it's done, hopefully next year. Probably next year too. Yeah, it looks like it now. And the Demolition 23 album is going to be coming out on. We're going to be released finally. It's been out of print for so long, and for the first time ever on vinyl and CD. CD it came out on CD before, but it's never been out on vinyl. Little Steve is putting it out on his Wicked Cool label. And it's got 3 bonus tracks, 3 demo songs of Dysfunctional, Scum Lives On, and Hammersmith Palais that we recorded in before this. We went to the studio. And artwork done by Rich Jones, and dug out some old photos and everything. It's a nice package, and and it's remastered. It's sounding better than before. It's got more drums and more beef, and really cool. Plus, we have remixed the Hanoi Rocks Oriental Beat album, the second album that was a horrible mix originally, and and then the tapes were thought to have been lost for all these years, but I relocated them a couple of years ago, and so that has been remixed, and it's coming out in November this year too. So a lot of cool stuff.
And the Jerusalem Slim, is that album coming out back too, the remastered?
No, I never heard of that. Hopefully not, because it's the worst thing that ever came out that I was involved in.
So wait, is it true, real quick though? I know you got to get going here, but so Vince Neil stole the song "Can't Have Your Cake"? That was your song originally?
No, wait. No, Vince Neil didn't steal the song.
Or Steve Stevens took it to Vince Neil. Is that what happened?
The song that I wrote with Steve Stevens, and he took the song to Vince Neil and used as part of the lyrics. I mean, the title of it had the title "Can't Have Your Cake and Eat It Too" was the lyrics in the chorus. Originally it was called "Downwardly Mobile," and the lyrics were much cooler and smarter. But they made a version. Then when Steve left me with a huge bag of shit and then bailed on the project that ended up being Jerusalem Slim, and unfortunately the record label released the album, which was a long story. But in any case, Steve disappeared. He didn't say anything. He just vanished. And then the next thing I knew was I saw him on playing with Vince Neil on some MTV awards, and he was playing on a Vince Neil solo album. And then I found out that the song "Can Have You," it was called "Can Have Your Cake," and it's on there, and it's the same chorus, you know. So he took the song and eliminated me from the writing credits and put it written by Steve Stevens and Vince Neil. But he'd done the same thing. He did the same thing to Phil Susan, who was playing the bass apparently in a project. He was trying to put his songs in his own name too. So. Apparently, it's been known to happen with him, but you know, Vince Neil didn't. Vince probably may have not even known about that song being. Steve never probably even told him that we wrote that first. It was written written by me and him. So it was just a coincidence. But yeah, you can't blame Vince Neil for doing that. It was Steve Stevens who did that. But you know, that's another thing. That was ages ago. So
yeah. You don't seem to be worried about it. You didn't try to sue him or anything like that. You didn't care.
No, but what the thing was, my label, I mean, I was signed to Polygram Records, and my publishing as well as merchandising, as everything. And they didn't do anything for my, you know, what's the point of being signed to them if you don't, I mean, sure, they can give you an advance, but then you have to earn that back and everything. So I wasn't really, they were supposed to get your music to movies and stuff, and they never did nothing like that. So I was just like, and they took 50% of everything, you know, my publishing, 50%. And then when I was working with Steve Stevens says, well, he used to have this 50-50 thing with Billy Idol. No matter who he has to have 50% of all the songs. I said, what are you talking about? You know, if I write with someone else, you can, you know, we go 3 ways. So it's like, well, you know, that's the way I used to have it. And all this. I was like, this is ridiculous. The record label takes 50%, and then Steve Stevens was 50% of a song, and I get left with nothing. I mean, you can't. How do you know how you're going to write a song if you write it with someone else? Like, what the hell? So in any case, I told the label, I said, well, now, if you want to make some money, here's a case. I have the original demo, and here's a song that they did, and they ripped off. And now that you own half of my publishing, why don't you go after this? They did nothing. That was typical. It's like no point getting signed to a major label, and also putting your all eggs in one basket. Meaning they get you by the balls. Then they even had my merchandise, and so I had to, that was when I was recording Not Faking It. I needed more money in a budget, and they said, okay, well, here, sign a merchandise deal. Okay, well, I signed a publishing, So finally they got me by the balls. So it wasn't a good thing. So after that album, I had to get rid of I had to get dropped off the label. It took about a year until they set me free, and luckily they dropped me, and I could get on with my life again, my career.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Well, can you try to get these songs into movies and music? Because I know, like, I just saw the Master of Puppets by Metallica got 17 million downloads because it was in Stranger Things. So it's like it seems like that's the way to get your music out there.
Yeah, and James Gunn is a big fan. Is the Hanoi Rocks thing on the Peacemaker. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest series in the world. So Hanoi gets nice recognition that way, and I sent him my new album too, and I hope let's hope he takes some of that for the next season or something. I don't know, but in any case, it's a great way to get attention to Hanoi.
Yeah, absolutely.
And only thing, we never wore spandex. That's what one detail, minor detail. It's only the copycat bands that wore spandex. We never wore spandex. Vinyl, leather, and PVC or whatever, but never wore spandex. Just
the spandex seems uncomfortable to wear that on stage. I don't know.
Yeah, and it looks funny.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. You got a great new album out. Everyone should get it. Is there a charity that you like to work with or you want to promote here at the end?
Oh, animals. I also want to help animals, if anything.
Okay.
But there's nothing going on right now that I'm involved with, but I have been involved helping animals and all the needy, anybody who needs help, all the underdogs of the world.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll put something in the notes. Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I hope to see you guys on tour. If not in the US, I guess I gotta fly over to Europe.
Yeah. Well, I got the 60th birthday celebration concert is on September 23rd in Helsinki Ice Hall. If you want to come to Finland, then come to see a memorable show. It's going to be something special.
Okay. That sounds fun. I got to save up. All right. Thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you. Good talking. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Lots of great stuff from Michael Monroe. Make sure to check out the new album, I Live Too Fast to Die Young, and watch for his upcoming projects. Please support our guests by following them on social media, buying their merch, and or going to see a show. If you enjoyed this interview, check out some of my other episodes. Tons of musicians of this type have been on the show. Too many to list, but make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen or watch, and follow the show on social media so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks for listening. Have a great day and shoot for the moon.